Ginger Prime stands with a rallying call. Pixelit faith standing strong through it all. The frame rate may falter, but hearts won't fall. Chrono rewrites what you thought you knew at all. Late to the game, but his wisdom lands clean. Skill checks are off, that's the price of a dream. Gaming kinda brings the chaos and thrill, dropping rare loot with unshakable will. Forte holds the line, grace under the blade, faith like a fortress that never will fade. Scrag lights the fire with a storm in his breath. $80 flat for unfinished quests. Joy-Con still drifting, my patience long gone. But I'll queue up at midnight, you know I'll play on. Pull up a chair, the battle's begun. Legends are forged in the light of the sun. One life now saves, play it bold, take the lead. At the Gaming Roundtable where the fearless plant every seed. Restrained by the riding tree. Ride no please, rise to the fire, no checkpoint in sight. One heart, one strike through the endless night.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final show of the Gaming Roundtable for 2025. We're going to be talking about our outlook here for 2026. We're going to be talking about No Rest for the Wicked, just releasing their Wicked Inside and public multiplayer beta. I'm personally very, very thrilled about that. We're also just going to be talking about some of the fallout that we've seen. I don't know. I've been getting a lot of entertainment from Zebby Webbs on the Twitter platform. It seems like he has been going toe-to-toe against the Final Fantasy can't be turn-based versus it should be turn-based crowd. So we're going to be talking about kind of the reception that we saw online with Expedition 33. It is just Scrag and I here for the final show of the year before we get into the Christmas and holiday spirit, hopefully in a fun and fascinating way. Scrag, dude, how has your week been going?
It's been going. It was my birthday this week.
Woohoo, happy birthday.
So thank you. So did some stuff with the family. Played a little bit of video games this week, not much. Mostly just like Death Stranding. I don't know why. I've been in the mood for that.
The original?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So I'm gonna beat that. Yeah, I'm gonna beat that. And then I think I mentioned last week that I dug my PS5 out of the shed. So probably play the second one once I'm done with that again.
There we go. Any word? So I'm assuming we're going to see the second one make its way to PC in 2026.
Probably. I mean, if they're smart, they will. Because you can't deny that putting your game on PC makes you more money than anything else, unless you're Nintendo. So, yeah, I mean,
I do wonder if Nintendo will if there will be a kind of one of those pivotal points where that is no longer the case. That is no longer true. I don't think, I mean, if we're talking timeline, like if you said, Brian, that's not going to happen for the next like 10, 15, 20 years, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. They got enough money to do whatever they want. But we talked about it deeply in the last show, talking about nostalgia and that aspect. And it's like, if you're not capturing enough of kind of the youth market, if you're really only capturing gamers in their 30s and 40s, which it seems like that is what the trend is, at least from some of the numbers I see reported. Yeah,
not for Nintendo. No,
and Nintendo, they have the kid market. Yeah,
they got that corner. They don't need to go on PC like ever.
They don't have the Minecraft and they don't have the Fortnites. Like, I think one of the reasons perhaps that it has been so successful, I look at my kids is like, yeah, I would prefer them to be on a Nintendo device rather than like on an Xbox or a PlayStation. However, at the same time, I'm like, I wonder if that will change, because like the fact is that they can it's handheld. I've talked about this numerous times. We don't need to rehash it, but a dedicated, just hooked up to the TV Switch would probably be my preference rather than the handheld and that I don't know, the gaming experience does feel less social when it's actually in handheld, and I think that's probably same concept with the screens. And like kids just being glued to these screens, they're having an individualized experience as opposed to something that's
Well,
on the big screen where we're all kind of experiencing it together. Like, because that's how I remember playing video games. Like, I always said I've never viewed a single player game as truly single player because I would play that with my friends. We'd pass the controller around, but we're all kind of watching the events unfold and, providing feedback, either aggressive feedback, like, what are you doing? You gotta
well,
go in
that was a
direction.
different time then too, like also too, it's about the games. It's how the games do it. Because I remember like it was like only one person can play a Game Boy Advance at a time, but we
Yeah,
sure as heck had those data transfer cables, didn't we?
that we did.
And
Freaking
we used
Final
them.
Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. For that was like the big thing, at least for me and my friends.
For us, it was
Playing.
Pokemon trading
Yeah.
and battling because you could. I think it was I don't remember which Pokemon it was. It was one of the earlier ones though. That you had the
No, no,
data
I know
cable.
what you mean. Yeah, because
Yeah,
like I remember when it might have been the DS or something that came out that had it where it was wireless, like
yeah.
over like where you could connect without having to connect a cable, and that was ended up being. I was like, that was great. Same thing with the Wavebird. Let's like we turned this whole show into a nostalgia podcast.
Well,
The
even like
Wavebird,
the PSP. You remember the PSP? Like, how
yeah,
many hours I played Monster Hunter Freedom with my friends at lunch? Like
mm,
almost every day for all of high school. So like,
very deeply and personally.
yeah.
It was 2 hours, right? 2 hours a day. Um, you had long lunches for in high school. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting because I look at it and I was like, yeah, there's a lot of like value, a lot of, in being able to like have that like individualized experience. Cause I remember when even like the Dreamcast was kind of starting to experiment with something like that, where they had the VMUs. It's like, okay, we can give you that player some specific information, let them call the plays, on the VMU or something like that, so it doesn't give that information away to the team. The before the Switch 2, Nintendo tried that with the Wii U, the horribly named Wii U. It's interesting. I'm curious. Like,
And now we have the Wii U back because PlayStation will sell you a $180 controller with a screen duct tape to it.
mm-hmm.
So,
That
you
only
can
connects to the hardware. Well, no, they do. They let you connect to the cloud now, a cloud PlayStation.
yeah, I know. I'm just making a joke. Yeah, it's a Wii U PlayStation now.
Well, I mean, honestly,
With
like
PS Now.
I do wonder. Like, obviously, the failure of the Wii U got us the Switch, and essentially now the Switch 2, right? And that's been hugely
Well,
popular.
that was a big thing I remember when the Wii U was out. It was like
Mhm.
people were saying, and I was saying, like, I would get a Wii U if it was just this
And
tablet that I
yeah,
could play the game on, and I didn't have to deal with the TV like ever or the other
you didn't
box.
have to be tethered because it was a
Yeah,
tethering aspect that even though it was wireless, like there was a range issue. The range actually was really good unless you had to go through multiple walls. And because I had one for a little bit, but then like it just wasn't like that impressive in the long run because yes, it literally led to why can't I take this on the road? I don't want to pack up the whole thing. I just want the handheld and went from there. But the other thing I'm curious, was it the name? Did the name hurt it more than what it essentially functionally did? Because like that in and of itself, I thought was the worst name they could have come up with. They're trying to
honestly, the
capitalize off
Wii
the Wii
2
success.
would have been better as a
We
name
too,
because
yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, they had to like, be Nintendo about it and name it something silly.
They succeeded.
Wee,
The Wii was
wee.
the Wii wasn't necessarily a bad name, even though it was kind of like, huh? And
Well, the U was the bad part of the
yeah,
name
the U for sure. It
because
just doesn't.
everyone was used to the Wii, but then they added the U on it. It's like siren sounds. Why do I want siren sounds as my console name?
Yeah,
Doesn't make sense.
yeah, agreed. I think, yeah, way to go, Nintendo. Years later, I'm sure they've learned the lesson, or they haven't felt it with the success of the Switch. The Switch 2 seems like it's doing okay, but I have you seen some of the kind of the latest reports about like just the sales numbers, not just for the
I hear
Switch,
they're
but
good.
across, well, they're good, but overall industry wise, like the numbers having a big drop off, not just console numbers, but software sales, everything. It seems like
Well, yeah,
November has had a big dip. I would have
because
thought that has
nobody
been
has any
historically
money,
the goal there.
and games cost $70. Like, I
Mhm.
was on the PS store the other day, and I was like, I wonder how much Death Stranding 2 is. It's like $70 or $60 if you buy the collector's edition. You get like $30 off of that or whatever. And I was like,
Weird.
wow. But I can go and buy Death Stranding 1 on Steam right now for
Yeah. Let's get a live
let's
price
see,
check.
let's see, $16 director's cut,
Yeah.
or upgrade from my current one that I own for $4. Okay.
Yeah, and that's what the report that I saw actually was reflecting, is that games that are, like around the $20 mark, or like the numbers of sales are going up and up and up, where I think people are just, yeah, absolutely driven into the value proposition. It's gonna be neat. I think one of the things that we will look towards, one of the things I'm looking at as I look at 2026, just from an industry gaming perspective, is that, yeah, what, like, do we see prices adjust and change? Because
Well,
we saw a couple have already changed this year. Microsoft with the Outer Worlds, like first came out at 80, wasn't good enough sales with pre-orders. Oh, okay, we're gonna start to lower the price before it even comes out. I think
even
DC.
Bungie with Marathon, I think they were going to come out as like a $70 game, but then Arc Raiders came out, and then made a bunch of changes, and they just recently announced they're coming out for $40
Mhm.
for a Bungie game, which is like,
I might be
whoa.
misremembering, but I always thought it was they announced it at $40.
I
But then, yeah.
I, I don't remember. But yeah, I mean, they've made a lot of changes, I think, that are gonna be good for them. But the
Mhm.
problem with them is that they've already ruined their goodwill like a lot. But of course, I know gamers with a lowercase g, don't care about that. Like, they don't.
Yeah.
The amount of news that we follow and
Yeah.
that our viewers follow, it's like 10 to 15 to 20 times more information than normal gamers get. So they're not going to care. They're going to go, oh, it's Bungie, and buy it anyway.
If
But
the gameplay is good, that's the only reputation that really truly
right,
is needed at that point. But it's
yeah,
got to
and
feel really good. And I don't know, like I didn't see anything about, especially because it felt like they were doing it more as a hero kind of shooter, where it's like you play this character, this type of character, which is constituting your class. But it just, like, once I heard that from the original announcements years ago, I was just like, well, that doesn't seem as exciting. I don't know why. I personally don't really vibe with hero shooters as I would if you were like, let me make my character and then I'm gonna play this class that has these various different skills. Like, it's the same
well, it's an
concept. It's just,
extraction
well,
shooter.
yeah.
There should be very little, if any, differences between characters. If you're gonna follow that formula
Right.
exactly, right?
Right.
Like,
Because
even in
otherwise,
Arc Raiders, you have 75 skill points
mhm.
as a basic account that you can get, and then you can get more later. But a level 75 versus a level 1, if the level 1 gets 5 headshots, you're dead. It doesn't matter.
Mhm.
Tarkov, if you're wearing all the heaviest gear, but they happen to shoot you right in the gap of your armor and your neck, you're dead. It doesn't matter. So, like, when it comes to those kind of games, having different abilities like seeing through the walls or becoming invisible and stuff like that, while I do think those are fun, cyberpunky aesthetic type abilities,
Mhm.
I'm really just not sure how that's going to end up playing out in the long run. Because if there becomes a meta in that game of like, oh, I'm just going to go loot, and then I become invisible to go past anyone who tries to come kill me and then get out. And then my entire gameplay cycle is just loot, turn invisible to get away, get out. Loot, turn invisible to get away, get out. That's going to be like pretty lame. People are going to hate it. But I mean, on the other hand, it could be really good. I don't know. I was interested in, after seeing their new trailer, in maybe trying it, despite. beforehand when I saw their old gameplay. I'm like, damn, this looks like garbage. So we'll see. But in terms of that, with the gameplay only mattering, that's a good segue into another topic. So with Claire Expedition, Claire Obscure. Why can't I say that? A lot of people were mad this week.
It was an attempt.
Yeah, the game with the French people. All right. There was a lot of controversy, I think, this week from the Game Awards because it came out that Larian Studios was using AI generated art for concept art, which personally, as long as it's not any part of the finished product, I don't think is that big of a deal. Like working on games myself, I've gone to like an AI generator and been like, give me a witch with a red hat, and just to kind of like throw ideas off, like, do we like this vibe, guys? That way I don't have to spend 16 hours drawing a bunch of witches with red hats and being like, which one do we like more?
Yeah, throw it out.
We're just kind of like narrowing it down, like the vibe that we want. And I haven't done this in a while. It was like a year or two ago. But still, it's like you get the vibe and then you go with an actual artist and you kind of flesh out the actual details, the actual costume, et cetera, and you're just kind of using that general idea, right? Like a skeleton with a knight helmet is not a new idea. Do we really need to pay someone like $80 an hour to draw 18 different skeletons with knight helmets? No, but you could pay him $80 an hour to go make 100 of them and then kind of like refine the general idea of like what you're going for. But anyway, so Claire Obscure used AI on posters, which people are just now finding out, and they're very upset about that. And they're upset about Larian using AI for concept art. But like we were talking about earlier, as long as the game is good, people aren't going to notice and or care. However, I don't want that to be a blanket excuse to just be like, oh, Scrag said people aren't going to care if the game is good. I'm just going to go make a bunch of AI garbage. That's not what I said. I said, as a part of the process or in very small things, if the game is good and you use it, I don't think anyone's going to notice and or care unless you specifically point it out. Now, on the other hand, there's things like Black Ops where they used AI art for splash images. They used AI art for gamer tag titles or whatever you call them. Those kind of things are not okay because you're putting AI into the finished product that is something that could have been done better and more effectively by an artist, but instead you were just like, we're just gonna make some crap and throw it in there because we don't care about our customers. Whereas in the case with Claire Obscure Expedition 33, they used it for some posters that if you're playing on 720p, you're not going to be able to see the details of anyway. You cannot make it out. I mean, I was playing on my Steam Deck, and you can't see textures on the Steam Deck and Clear Obscure. It's bad. Like in that scene where he's in his little garden or whatever, the leaves on the freaking trees look like freaking a fur coat, dude. It looks so bad. But I mean, it is what it is.
Chrono's in chat with us here. He wasn't able to join for the podcast itself due to a production level of urgency at work, and it's something that happens, and and I get it. But he writes, the anti-AI sentiment is dangerous. We should definitely call out crappy uses of AI, but shouldn't just cancel a dev publisher because they used AI as a tool. And I think this in itself is like where we've talked about this over throughout the year. It's like I think they're kind of, there's a camp that it's obviously like this is their thing. This is their cause. That like we have to shut down all AI. And it's all right.
To be fair to them, they have a point for certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Like I get it. And you see a game on Steam and it's all AI generated art, and then in the disclaimer it says we use AI to generate the poses, and then we go back and manually redraw them. No, you don't. No, you don't. I can see it. I know what that looks like. You are not redrawing that. You didn't. You didn't do it. Don't lie to me. It's so crap. But then there's other ones where it's like, oh yeah, we used AI to generate sprites because we suck at art, and it's like understandable, but your game must be free. Like if you're gonna make a game with AI generated assets and that is the end result, like did not make any art assets for your game at all, didn't buy them from the store or the Unity asset store or the Unreal store, you just don't get to charge money for your game. Like in my opinion, that's how it should be because you don't own any of that stuff. Yeah, that's literally what they say. Like we traced over the AI poses and redrew it, and it's like, no, you didn't. I can see that you didn't do it. Anyway, but yeah, there are definitely bad uses and there are good uses. For instance, bad uses, any kind of art that is the end result of an AI, any like as in you didn't go through and redo everything from scratch with a real artist and like recontextualize everything. Anything that is music, never okay, because the only way generative AI can make art or music and has been able to do it so far is by stealing all the art and music on the internet. That is not okay. Until the day where AI companies are sending me a check every month for all of the images that they stole from my DeviantArt account when I was 16, I'm not okay with it.
Yeah.
So, art, music, never okay. Code is literally all the same. There is no unique piece of code on the planet. If you're a programmer and you write code, which as I do, as Brian does, you will know after your 400th for loop that you used for the same purpose for the 400th time, why do I need to write that again? I don't. You know what I can do? I could go to an AI and say, hey, I need a for loop here counting for this value and this factor, this iteration. Go. And then it's like, okay, done. And it took me 5 minutes instead of 30
logging
minutes.
On error or some
Exactly.
like, yeah, it's like, okay,
and
let's
it took
enhance
5 minutes instead of an hour and a half.
Yeah.
You know how many UIs I've done where it's like, oh, I need a box and then I need another box and then I need 2 boxes stacked on top of each other and then I need another box and that box slides and it turns blue when the toggle checkbox is selected underneath it. You know how many hours I've spent doing that stuff? Many. But now I can just plug in an AI into my code base and go, hey, I want these things, do these things. And it takes maybe an hour to get it perfect after multiple rounds of testing and like feedback versus a week when I started programming, right? Like there's no reason for me to do the same thing I've already done 100 times and other people have done millions of times for the same result, as long as I'm manually checking the work and doing it and doing like these testing things. Like code is not special. You're not special because you write code. Never. Sorry. It's all math. Math is the same.
Math is the same. I would say, like, for me in game development, in the aspect of it, is that I love it for proof of concepting. And that's what I've been using it for, not just in terms of the systems and the code side, but it's like I don't yet want to invest like, hey, go and draw me, because like, okay, I'm working on this. I need give me some basic, level pixel. And the way I've done it in the past is like you just go out to like a pixel sprite sheet or whatever, click save and import. Obviously, like to your point, none of that is sellable. Like, and it shouldn't be sellable. And if you try
it's not copyrightable. So if you do sell a game with AI art in it, literally everyone on the planet, you're giving them permission to take every single thing that was generated with AI in your project, that's art or music, and use it in their project because you cannot copyright it. You can't. It's literally not possible. It's not legal and it's not ethical. Like when you make something with AI, you're basically just wasting your own time when it comes to music and art.
What do you think? Sorry. Well, no, you're right. But I was gonna say, like, what do you think about the concept where, and we're seeing this already, like companies kind of are, there are some that exist in a way. It's like having a shell company. It's like you have a company that whitewashes your AI. Like, okay, we hire these people, they're using AI. We don't know what they're doing. like we just asked for a product, they got us a product. Bada bing, bada boom. Here you go. And I think that's like, I do think we might see some of that more than just like, who did that? Like a little bit of a disconnect. And, bringing it back to the Expedition 33 team, like they did contract out with people on Reddit and on these various different things. And I think that that's perfectly fine. And in fact,
And also,
I do
keep
see.
in
Go
mind,
ahead.
they had a $10 million budget. Most indie games that are being made have a budget of exactly $0. So yeah, a $0 budget game is not going to hire you to write code that's already been written 1,000 times before. They're not going to
Yeah.
hire you to do concept art for something that they already have an idea about. Like even Larian, who employs like about 100 artists or something like that, even they are using it to save time. Embark is using it to save time with their voice actors and with their what do you call it, enemies and stuff. It's I think there are good ethical uses of it as long as everyone involved is getting paid and they all agree. Now, the only instances in which nobody's getting paid and nobody agrees is music and art, which is why it is not okay to use it. But if you go to a voice actor and you say, "Hey, I will pay you $100,000 to come do a week's worth of work, and then we're going to do the rest with AI," and they're like, "Okay." They agreed to it. They signed the papers. You paid them money. That's totally fine. But when you go, "Hey, OpenAI, give me all the images ever drawn by anyone ever, and then make this anime girl that I want,"
that I can
that's
sell.
not okay. That's not okay.
That I can sell.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, 2026 is going to be wild because
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is only going to become more and more apparent. And I do think that there's going to, like this comes down to my mind, like there will be a part of this that the market does decide, right? Like, okay, this is what we deem appropriate. And I think though it is still also kind of the Wild West for these game companies. A, what can we get away with? B, like, okay, what, how should we approach this so that we can make a quality game? Because right now, and who knows, because like the theory that people have, especially when it comes down to this, and it wouldn't, in my mind, wouldn't be 2026, but I mean, let's fast forward 5 years. We're now in the 2030s. Like the theory that people have proposed is that you won't need a developer. You could just say, make me a game where this, and happens. And it just generates you a game. And then you can keep refining it. And it's like, but where it's pure prompt based, and then all of a sudden, boom. And then I don't know, does the
There's a problem with that though.
Yeah,
there's a problem with those. Okay, so I don't know if you've ever messed around with like image generation or music generation. Well, I know you messed with music generation.
Yeah. I love it. I think it's fun, but again, I'm not trying to sell that music.
So I've messed around with it.
That Ginger Prime specifically tailored meme song.
Yeah, right. I mean, I've messed around with it some. But the problem with it is that it is limited to your knowledge on the subject. For example, for music, I can go, I want a 5/8 8/8 time signature with around 120 to 146 BPM, and I want this, and this. Do it in the key of C sharp, and then transition to the key of G major. And I can do all of these things, and I can make something that sounds pretty good. However, the problem is that it feeds your instant gratification so much that it is almost pointless in general. So like if, for example, if I want a song that's exactly this way and I give it to it and it does it and I'm like, hey, that's exactly what I wanted to hear. Well, then the next time I want to hear exactly this or whatever. And it does it and I get exactly what I want to hear. Eventually you're just going to get bored and you're never going to log in again. Because it is not interesting to get exactly what you want every time. So like, for example, Path of Exile 2. You know, it'd be really cool in Path of Exile 2. It'd be really cool if I could be an assassin character with 2 daggers who teleports through the shadows and kills everybody really fast. But you know what's not fun? Getting exactly what I want every time immediately. It's not fun at all. The part of video games that's fun is the part that someone else designed an experience for you to traverse through to get to the point in which you would consider it fun. For example, ARPGs. You start out with a stick and a board that you use as a shield, and that's it. And you are like trying your hardest to kill the butcher or whatever the boss is, and he kicks your butt like 80 times until you finally get the hang of it. And then once you get the hang of it, you start getting more and more powerful, and eventually you're clearing entire screens with one arrow, and it's like super cool. But you know what would have sucked? If you told AI, hey, I want to play a game in which it's a top-down isometric perspective, and I use WSD to move and left click to attack, and every time I attack, every creature explodes and every creature dies from the explosion, and it's a chain reaction.
And then on top of that, how about I don't play and you have you play it for me so I can watch the AI play the AI generated game because of reasons. That's what Chrono brought up.
And also the other thing about games specifically, we have so many games now that the only time a game actually breaks through this wall of crap is if it's a good game and the people that made it were passionate about it and they have like a really, really... Sorry, I almost burped right in the microphone. If they have passionate about it and they're wanting to want to make the game that they want to make that they think is cool. For example, Megabonk. The guy who made Megabonk is like, I like Risk of Rain 2, but you know what Risk of Rain 2 doesn't have that I really want? Millions of enemies on my screen. I can't do that in Risk of Rain 2. So I'm going to do that. And so he did it. I don't know if that's actually why he decided to do it, but Clair Obscur, they worked for Ubisoft and they're like, hey, we want to make this game. And
like
we don't want to we don't want to deal with Ubisoft because we know it's just going to be like 8 years of red tape just for them to be like, nah, people don't like turn-based games. They like Assassin's Creed because we've made 80 Assassin's Creed game and people always buy them. Yeah, that's what we're going to do again. We're not going to do that. So they just left and they did it. Embark, they made the finals and art graders. You know how they really cared about making a game that was new, different, amazing, and innovated in the field. They have like 15 or 20 open source packages you can just download and use in your game with no licensing fee whatsoever. So it's people that care about what they're doing generally make better games. There's a game on Steam. It's a CRPG or SRPG. It's called Dark Deity, and it is basically a clone of games like Fire Emblem. And you know, these guys, I don't know their story. I haven't talked to them, but I would assume they really wanted to play a new Fire Emblem, or they wanted a game that was similar to Fire Emblem, but they had a few things that they wanted to change. So they did it. And they have mostly positive reviews on Steam, and they released it in 2021. They even just made a sequel. So like, if you care about a thing and you make it, odds are people will play it. But
passion, I mean, has to be one of them. Like in general, like for those of you out there who work in the world, project management has three factors: time, money, and resources. But game development has to have a passion degree. If you don't have somebody who wants to will something that doesn't exist into existence, then you end up essentially kind of having in a way kind of paint by numbers kind of game. One of the things I was going to bring up as kind of a transition from this topic into the No Rest for the Wicked is that I think that we can see and what we will end up seeing is that those that like the separation of what would be considered something top tier, high quality, that gap might end up seeing very different, and that might be the difference maker. Where it's like, if you want something that's just kind of cookie cutter, run of the mill, there's plenty of that on the market. But then over the course of the year, 5 to maybe 10 games truly stand out and really try. And they do because that it was human design, passion driven, what they wanted to see. And I think one of those great examples that I've been enjoying every freaking month when I get to sit down and play a game is No Rest for the Wicked. And just yesterday, for those of you who aren't following, and I put this big long video of my thoughts and then like the full reaction to the Wicked Inside. They have just released into a public beta the Together update, which officially launches on January the 22nd. I thankfully have already got to have some hands-on time with it, but this for me, I'm like, yes, I'm gonna find some time because we're going to the holiday season. I should have some game time, so we'll be doing some streaming and some. If you guys have No Rest for the Wicked on Steam, you can join me in in the multiplayer aspect, and especially if you've been struggling with some of the bosses. But their approach, like when it looks at the ARPG, because also like you big Path of Exile 2, I've played it. I really enjoyed what I played of Path of Exile 2. I just haven't invested countless amounts of hours into it, and that is on me. And maybe I'll get spend some time getting caught up on that game as well over the
Honestly,
holidays.
I would wait until it's actually 1.0.
Release.
It's
Wait,
kind
how
of in a
long?
mess at the moment.
How
We
long
don't know. It
until
was
then?
supposed to be 1.0 by now, but we're not
Okay.
even halfway
Yeah,
through the
but
amount of characters they said they were going to release. So,
but also on the 1.0 concept, it does seem that with No Rest the Wicked, that they're soft confirming that 2026 will be the 1.0 release. That means PlayStation. They did say that Xbox might not launch day and date as PlayStation. Same thing with the Switch. So they might have a tiered console, but if they can land them all at the same time, they'll be able to capitalize on that excitement, as opposed to, like, I think you lose out on that hype momentum where you pick
yeah.
up where you pick up the majority of the people who are just like, wait, everybody, like, oh, I have a Switch, oh, I have a PlayStation, oh, I have an Xbox, as opposed to like, I don't have a PlayStation. I can't play your game. So we'll see, because it was kind of alluded that just the, obviously the sheer difficulty, but it seemed to be soft confirmed that 1.0 would be sometime in 2026, which checks out in terms of my timelines. It does feel like they were trying to get the Together update out sometime, or at least the beta out sometime in October. So it is a little bit of a shift, but multiplayer and networking can be hard. And one of the things that they've said that is just that the reception and any of the coders here on the podcast, and also who are listening, can kind of what happened. It's like when we looked at what happened with the spring update, it was good, but there were problems. And the reasons why there were problems is that it's like in the 11th hour, they're like, oh yeah, include this too. So they had to go in and hot fix those, patch those, refine those. And they eventually did, which was like delivering, I think, a really good game, really good product. But I think when it comes down to it, that reception, that initial impression is so critical, and they wanted to try and avoid that with the Together update. This will, I think, really make January fun as you go into kind of January, February in the United States area. Like, you're cold, you're inside, might as well, get together with your friends. And then from there, we'll see what I call the job system update. They're going to be bringing in some Final Fantasy Tactics style, kind of progression into how you level and build your character. I think that's going to be really exciting to see and go hands on with, and then working their way.
Still,
yeah, still No Rest for the Wicked. Yeah, like it's and how they're kind of approaching it is that you still have freeform build kind of the way you want, but they're going to have like pathways that it's like, oh yeah, you can, we're going to make it where, let's say you get experience, but you also get some kind of SP or AP or JP, whatever they end up kind of calling it, like that currency that allows you, rather than assigning specific stats, you can go and do that. And that's going to solve one of the key problems that I run into, is that I do make multiple characters because I'm wanting to play around with different weapons, and the weapons are so specifically the way you can use them is to have those various different stats. And so it just makes it easier to make new characters. This will make it easier. You can change your job and new weapon, and now you have a new thing to grind on, which I think, as somebody who really enjoys that, and I know I see people complain about grinding games online, somebody who really enjoys that, I'm looking forward to it. But I think that's going to be something that is going to really define 2026 for me, hands down. Like, and it has defined and has captured, just my heart since early access began. But I do think that if they were able to hit 2026 for the full release of the game itself, that's gonna feel very, very satisfying. Did you
I know they're not.
What's that?
What?
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say, I know they're not gonna do it, but my main issue with that game has been the issue with it the whole time. As somebody who's drawn thousands of figures of human bodies, their proportions are wrong, and they are objectively wrong. And every time I see it and notice it, it makes my stomach turn, and I hate it. Please fix the character proportions. They look awful. Sorry.
Especially, like, even when you have gear and everything rocking and rolling.
Yes, the arms are too long, the legs are too short, the torso is too long. It is blatant, clear as day. Please fix it. I know you're not gonna, but please fix it.
Man, I have to disagree. It's like I think that initially I was like, oh, what's going on? And then it's like when you're playing the game, it just all kind of blends together. And I think it's just something that works in motion. I think if you're looking at it as a stilled image, yeah, it does kind of cost you. But I think
have a
in
really
motion,
nice monitor. I can see it all the time.
you can see it
240 frames a
clear
second. I can see clear as day that the arms and torso are way too long.
Oh, fair.
It is a cool game, though. It is a cool game. But if it wasn't for that one choice that for whatever reason they made that makes me sick to my stomach, I would love that game probably.
What about, have you been following their monetization strategy at all? Because I'd love to get your perspective on it.
Is it anything other than I buy the game and I get to play it?
No. And that's what it is. Like it is
that's
literally
awesome.
You buy it.
Because I own the game and I never want to pay for it again.
Right. The realms piece of it is that you create a realm. It's always persistently online. You and whoever you decide are going to share that realm can share that realm. It can just be you or whatever. My mind just goes into they're absorbing that reoccurring cost. And I think their strategy is just release expansions, continuing to grow the game and the story and make money that way. And that's why I really want them to be successful, because my goodness, like I was saying in the video, I pay every month for my kids to have a realm in Minecraft. And I go, it makes sense. Server costs are a thing. Data, like I know there is a cost to having that there. Okay, that's a value product. And then the No Rest for the Wicked guys are like, nah, we got it. Like, you guys are good. And I'm like, man, is that a giant middle finger to the industry, especially that's so hyper focused in on that monthly recurring user, that monthly recurring revenue. Then they also went on to say that, like, especially with console, if they sell 200 to 300,000 copies, like on PlayStation, for example, like that's enough to fund the studio for another 5 to 10 years. So it's like their budget and their operating costs and their quality. It just, for me, feels like, just like with Expedition 33, that you have people who are just doing it right. they're passion driven. They want something to exist, and they know how to make that happen.
The other thing too, it's
without spending $200 million and needing to sell like 8 million copies and appealing to people who just don't exist.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that last part, like emphatically. But like I've said this how many times on podcasts? At least 12. Greed is the problem. Okay. I'm sure the people who worked on Expedition 33 could have done it with $5 million. And you know what? If that's all they had, they would have done it. It would have looked a little different, maybe. It wouldn't have been as fancy, maybe. But it's still, I could almost guarantee you, it would have worked. It would have been a game, and it still would have been really good. However, if they had $100 million, would they still have used all of it, you think? I don't know. Maybe. But I
do think when it comes down to it, that when ships get that big, it's easy that a lot of these things just kind of get siphoned off, right? Like it's like you got too many moving parts, and it's, oh yeah, this cost $10 million for this thing, and it's like, did it really? Or
because I'll tell you what the budget for my game is. It's
what is it?
$12 a month for Cascadeur,
mm-hmm.
which is a animation software, and Blender's free, and Godot is free. So it's about $12 a month.
There you go.
So, like, if that is all you have and you want to make a great game, you can. I don't want to say my game's great because it's not done. It's not even close to done yet. But there are people who have made great games on shoestring budgets and have made hundreds of millions of dollars from nothing, which is the great thing about gaming, because you can do that now. Like back in the PlayStation days, you couldn't. It was impossible. But now anyone can go and make a Risk of Rain 2. Anybody can go and make a Balatro. Anyone can go and make a maybe not a Fellowship because that requires server costs, but anyone can make a Mega Bonk or a Blood Thief or Abiotic Factor. You can just do it. You don't need money to do these things. And that's the
Just
part that makes me
time
so mad about the current
and
industry.
passion.
It's like we spent $200 million on Assassin's Creed 74. Okay, cool. How many copies did you sell? 1 million. Okay, so you made $60 million. Well, no, 70 million now, because remember, we raised the price of video
Well,
games.
yeah,
It's like, okay, so you
if you're
lost
first party,
$130 million.
but you're not factoring in the 30% or maybe, somewhere 20 to
Yeah,
30%
I'm just doing
platform
simple math.
fee.
It's like
Yeah.
you spend $200 million to make $60 million, or you could spend $1 million to make, at least if you make a single $1 million from your $1 million investment, you broke even and you didn't waste your time.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But
Right.
no, these corporations are like, no, guys, we got to be the next Mario. We got to sell $8 billion worth of Mario Kart 8, guys. We got to be that. Why do you have to be that? As long as you're paying all your people and everyone's enjoying what they're making. I mean, not everyone's going to enjoy what they make, obviously.
Well, not every day. Like the thing is,
Not
like,
every day.
people
Not
like,
all the time.
oh yeah, like I want to always be happy when I was like, it's
But-
called work for a reason. If it's not, it's a hobby, and then if you're living off of that, then
Did
that's
you
on
notice? Did you notice that the studio that made Clair Obscur, they made their game and it was complete, and they didn't lay anyone off. That's crazy.
Wow,
That never happens in the
What a
gaming industry
concept.
today. Of a
What a
team of like
concept.
100 people, you finish
Yeah.
your game as soon as the work that those people are done with, you lay them off immediately because you don't want to pay them anymore. You're
I
done
hope
with
they're
them.
having fun making whatever their follow up. Obviously, in terms of the brand, like Final Fantasy, is Clair Obscur, and so they'll have some kind of who knows what kind of subtitle to follow. Okay, let's talk about that though. Like obviously that's not going to be happening for a while. We want to let this team cook. They've got the funds. They've got the attention. They've got the goodwill. That I hope they don't go and announce anything too soon. Because that's the thing that I enjoyed about Expedition 33. I felt like the marketing kind of kicked up 1 year before it came out. Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, they've been working on this thing, etc. That's where, when it comes to Light No Fire, I pray, Sean Murray, please give us anything in 2026. You don't have to come out in 2026, but please follow up that trailer that is now 2 years old. I need it. I need something.
Okay, so here's the thing with Sean Murray.
I
watched the documentary on him.
from,
Yeah, so the Dishonored art style is kind of lame looking, but at least the proportions are generally correct. They are stylized a little bit, but they are generally more or less, in terms of ratios of body parts, generally more or less correct. No Rest for the Wicked is not. It's not even close. It's like 50% off.
It's an incredible game. You should definitely pick it up, guys, if you haven't already.
I hate the art style in terms of proportions, but it is a pretty game.
All right, you're about to say something else before I interrupt you.
What was I talking about?
We're talking about Clair Obscur, like the don't announce, etc. Sean Murray.
Sean Murray. Sean Murray.
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing with him is he's learned his lesson. Okay, I watched a documentary or something. Somebody was talking about something, and it was like the mental health toll that was taken out of Sean Murray whenever it turned out that No Man's Sky was not what he said it was.
Mm-hmm.
It sounded, from the way that it was described, I don't remember if it was him saying it or someone else on the team in the documentary. It was brutal. It was brutal. So I don't think that Sean Murray will allow any video game from his shop to release until he is absolutely certain that it works and it's done and it's good, and that he is not going to get shit for it. Because we all were a part of what happened last time, including me. I was extremely upset.
I didn't start playing it until last year. So it's like,
so you're happy. You don't know.
It's like I was like, wow, this game's actually pretty impressive. Years and years later.
It is now. A decade later, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But when it came out, the first day it came out, I bought it because I was excited. And the game was so boring.
I think for some reason I do have
asleep.
a memory of that because we were hanging out and playing games I think I have a memory of that, and you were not pleased.
I was upset because I fell asleep playing the game. It was so boring, and their loading screens were so long. I I I fell asleep after like 45 minutes, and then I woke up and the game was still on, and I was like, "No, I can't refund it." I tried to refund it anyway, and I was like, "Hey,
Mhm.
Steam, this game was so boring. I fell asleep playing it. Can you please refund me my money? It is not what it was advertised to be. I would like my money back, please." And Steam was like, "No, you played more than 2 hours." I was like, "Ah!" But several years later, when they fixed the game, I was happy because I had already paid for the game. But still, the amount of crap that they got for that was monumental, and it was all their own fault for going up onto news shows and being vague about whether or not multiplayer was a thing. And within 5 hours of the game coming out, people on Reddit were like, "Hey, me and my buddy are trying to meet up on this planet and it's not working." And everyone's like, "What do you mean it's not working?" They're like, "We're standing next to the exact same rock and we cannot see each other. There is no
Mhm.
multiplayer in this game." And everybody was just like, "But Sean said there was multiplayer. Sean said that you could meet up with other people." And you couldn't. And
Yeah.
it was not great for them.
What do you think about the story about how they because they lost a lot of their code and assets due to a flood? Because for me, like I've seen that assessment, but then I'm like, but repositories exist. Like, why? Like, that sounds like such a
GitHub was
rookie
a thing in
mistake.
2014.
Yeah, meaning it's
GitHub
like
was a
there's a
thing.
way that you can have that private, so you don't have to worry about. I mean, now AI is trained off all of it anyway, but it's that the when it's said and done, I was like, that felt like that was a human error at that point, because it wasn't like those things didn't exist. And it's like, okay, unless like they had a local like, because I remember back when I was working in the healthcare company that I worked in years ago, they had their TFS, which they didn't have Git. They were using Team Foundation services because Microsoft hadn't acquired all that stuff yet. And that was local in their. We had a data center that was just 2 doors down, right in there, and that's where all that code was checked in. So I was like, I could understand if that's how they had that kind of set up and configured, but I mean, this was like in 2008, like GitHub and all that stuff started coming out. So it's like maybe they were slow to transition. It
Well, they
just
had a
seems like
budget,
right,
like they should have had backups. They should have had
hmm
cloud of some kind.
some
Because
kind of backup,
that was not a new thing back then,
right? That's
as
what
far as
stood
I
out to
know.
me as like that seems like. I mean, that seems like a critical failure. However, to speak positively to it, because again, I was never wrong. Stepping into the game was like, well, if you're ever going to have a roadmap for how you apologize to a whole bunch of gamers, it's that you show up and you get it what you said done. And I was like, because I
Yeah.
asked, I was like, out of the list of everything that was promised, it didn't make launch. Clearly, the drama seems like well placed. Not very like acting for attention perspective, but well placed drama. But then essentially, like out of that list, is there something he has not yet delivered what was originally promised? And everybody I've talked to about it's like, no, he
No,
did
he's
it
delivered everything he promised and more.
and more.
It
Yeah,
just took a decade.
it just took a time. Yeah. So to your point, yeah, I absolutely do not think that he wants to rush the Light No Fire stuff. However, we're 2 years post the announcement of said game. Like, don't
That's fine though.
announce.
That's
Don't.
fine.
Well, I don't know. I'm hungry. I'm
Well,
like,
because no, because
I need to
Cyberpunk
eat.
2077 was announced way
Well,
before
that's the
that
thing.
newer
It's
game.
like if it's 10 years, then why even say anything in the first place? Like I don't. It drives me nuts, and that's where it's like with Claire Obscure bringing this all back, around. Like it's like whatever their follow up is, whenever their follow up is, don't talk about it until you're ready, until you're that 12 months out from release, because that way you don't end up making promises to to gamers that you can't keep, because gamers will like that's the thing about like even with early access and whatnot, there might be a thing that was in the game that just ended up not working, but people take that like, oh, I really love that thing, and now it's gone. It's like, I get it. There's a level of passion that comes from the gamer side, but I was like, I don't know. I, for one, especially with Final Fantasy VII Remake, they announced that it was like a decade or something. Like they announced it and it eventually came out years. And Chili probably knows like the timeline much, much clearer than I do right now from memory. But like, I felt like it was like, oh man, that's, it was like 8 years from when they announced it came out, then 4 more years to part 2. And so you're taking a single game, splitting it into 3 parts over the life of another 10 years.
Terrible
and I think
idea.
That's just like, yeah, I would rather just give me a game that I can play, that I can finish, that I can, pick up something else. And I'd much rather enjoy that. When it comes to 2026, I think I'm going to finally sit down and beat Final Fantasy VII Remake, especially because it's going into that Play Anywhere, which I just, that is such a value thing for me. And I'm wondering if for me though, like also when I talk about it with No Rest for the Wicked, they've talked about it's already it's cross-play, cross progression. So you can start your game on Steam and then essentially like, oh, you got a Switch, you want to jump on Switch, you want to play it on your PlayStation, it's your character, right? Final Fantasy 14 was the one of the top tier progenitors of that. Final Fantasy 11 actually also to a degree, where it's like I started on PC or PlayStation, I still have my character, it's still this. And that essentially, that ability to go platform to platform, I truly like. And so with No Rest of the Wicked, I'm glad that that's by default. But any game that also is that Play Anywhere kind of delivers that, that platform independence that I truly want to do.
Speaking of platform independence, we have a few minutes.
Okay.
I
do want to call out Chrono's thing here. I will actually finish a Final Fantasy game in 2026.
Yeah, but Final Fantasy VII Remake is not a Final Fantasy game. Sorry. It's a Devil May Cry.
I just want to know which Final Fantasy game he's going to plan on finishing. Yeah, the Pixel remasters, they announced over 6 million in sales on that, which is incredible. Like, what? Well
finish
done.
Kingdom Hearts 1. That's more of a Final Fantasy game than Final Fantasy VII Remake. All right. Steam machine. I'm building one.
You're building a Steam machine.
Yeah. So my dad bought my stepmom a new laptop. So she's getting rid of her desktop. And my dad's like, I think I'm gonna give this thing away. I'm like, no, don't give it away. Because he built it. I think it's got like a 12700 or a 12500 or something like that in there.
Okay.
Like, don't throw it away. I'm gonna put my 3090 in it, install Bazite, and hook it up to the TV. Because even if it's only an i5, who cares? Because a TV only gets 60 frames per second anyway. It'll be freaking legit. It'll be awesome. So I'm here pretty soon. I should have a Steam Machine-esque setup, which will be really cool.
Yeah, and that's the strength of having that. Where I think, and Steam Machine's launching in 2026, right? Like the official.
Yeah, but with the RAM shortages and everything, I think they're gonna have to delay it, and I think they're gonna have to charge more money than people are willing to pay. So
I think that's true for all of gaming. It's wild to me that, and this is just the outside of the Steam, like we say, the current Steam Deck, which I think you can get for around $300. The Switch 2, like at $450, where everything else is like 800 plus.
Well, Switch 2 doesn't even have any games that are specific to Switch 2, right?
It does. It has the Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World.
So 2 games.
I think probably 2 games.
But like all the other games, I could still play.
That's where it's like, man, I tell you, a Switch 2 opened up at least into like streaming, where you can stream like the PlayStation, Xbox, and it's like if they opened that up, I was like, that sounds like a great handheld. It's one
also,
that for
Chrono,
me and the kids,
sorry, Chrono, you're wrong. Good. It's a SteamOS clone based on Fedora. So it actually does have the big picture gaming mode experience, just like a Steam Deck. Exactly like a Steam Deck. You have to log into Steam to get it set up. So you're wrong. Wrong again. And You're not here to defend yourself, so you're wrong. You're wrong. You're simply
enjoy
wrong.
your production
Fake
issues.
news. Fake news. I'm gonna go get a spray tan.
This is like I said at the opening of the show. This is the last show for 2025. We wish everybody a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. As just a note, it says that we got like 6 people watching over on Kick. If y'all don't mind dropping a hi in the comments, apparently Kick pays out more for people who engage in the streams over there. Who knows? It could just be some bots. But I figure we'll put a call to action on this podcast as well. But that being said, before we do wrap up, we'll be obviously coming back into the new year, continuing to keep our shows rocking and rolling. Hey, we actually got one. Woo! Tava, dude, thank you. I appreciate you, man. Before we wrap up the show, what do you plan on playing over the Christmas and holiday break?
Okay, so Arc Raiders has the expedition happening.
Yeah.
In order to get extra skill points for doing the expedition, you have to have at least 1 million up to 5 million space bucks, which is what they call the in-game currency or whatever. I have 700,000. So either I can have fun this weekend and play games I actually would enjoy playing, or I can no life Arc Raiders whenever I have the chance. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm either going to be continuing to play through Expedition 33, Death Stranding, or I'm going to be playing Arc Raiders.
I think I'm going to see, for me, namely, I was like some just more quiet time, downtime. Pretty much trying to see if I can't be Dragon Quest 2. Expedition 33 is on the docket, so I don't know if I want to go DQ2 to Expedition 33 or just continue on my Dragon Quest train. And then essentially going to get some No Rest of the Wicked multiplayer live streams rocking and rolling. And then I might, dabble into some of the MMOs that like have come out. Obviously not like a huge splash. Maybe our clip from the last live stream where you were talking about why you're rooting for Ashes of Creation to fail. Lots of engagement.
Oh, I gotta go look at that. Hold on, let me go look at that.
We gotta I was just like, yeah. I mean, when I say lots, it's like 4 comments on a clip and stuff like that. For me, I'm like, let's freaking go. So I was just like, yeah, that was fun. I was like, so
if you want to get more,
try to create some more viral moments. Game Pass is the best deal ever. Anybody who doesn't have Game Pass isn't a gamer.
You have to find a very autistic audience and then intentionally be wrong, and they will correct you every time. It works 60% of the time. It works every time. I did that video. I did that short about like what the objective best class in the game in PoE 2 was.
Yeah.
And I said it was sorceress, which it's not. And or what did I say? Yeah, it was sorceress. I think it was sorceress. And people were like, "Oh, actually, this other one is the best." And I'm like, "Yeah, keep giving me that engagement, bozos. You guys are bozos." Which short was it? I want to read some comments before we.
It's on the live channel, Ginger Prime Live, and then it's from our when I was playing Dragon Quest 2, and we were watching the Game Awards, and we ended up talking about Ashes of Creation because it was on Steam. And I was just kind of like remarking that it's like I've spent so much money on that game and I have not played it at all. And there's obviously like it is like none of the drama around the game at all is surprising. It literally feels like
we got a lot more views than most of our clips.
Yeah, it's usually that. Like I'm glad for that, because it's like if I see lots of comments on a short, I generally know like, oh, I have no idea who's making it. Their opinion is just coming in like this got put in their feed and then they just left a nasty comment or something like that. It's like,
there's only one like negative comment on here that's like, this is a bad take, and they were even being polite with that, so I'm fine with that.
Chili, you're welcome back whenever, bro. I love hanging out with you and talking games. So maybe what we'll say 2026 you'll see more Chili on the podcast, which would be I think a real treat, especially for me. I think 2026 is going to be interesting. Lots of things that I'm passionate about. I'm really, in a way, religiously praying for Final Fantasy 14 and FanFest. I really want a reason to come back to 8.0. I really want something that's just like, holy crap, dude, they did it. They did the thing. And thankfully, I'm, like my money's going over to the 11 crew. I don't
have
know
a
how
lot of faith in 14 right now.
I that's what I'm saying. Like it's a religious experience. It's I would love a miracle for that game. And for people who are enjoying it, I'm sorry if that I'm not trying to offend you. I'm just like I want something big and more. Now I'm getting lots of eyes peering at me, so I think it's time to wrap up the show. We talked about what we're playing over the holiday, and we guys wish you very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year. Thanks for making 2025 so much fun. And we look forward to hanging out with you guys in 2026. And then like with Chili, when we saw, I don't know if Soundwave Nick is still listening, but he was like, hey, can I get on the show? It's like, guys, if you want to be a part of the show, man, like be a part of the Discord. Let's start up a conversation. Let's hang out on live streams. I always love this. And I want this to be a true roundtable of opinions and more around gaming. Anyway, again, thank you guys for being here. We'll see you here in a couple weeks. And until then, take care.